Whispers on the wire, voices in the cloud. We hand over trust, dropping ditto shroud. They watch us closely, gather our footprints, promise to shine. Soon they fade in thin air, accountability wafts away. They hide in shadows all around. Snatch our secrets without a sound. Promises break like shattered glass, while we watch as time flies past. In their hands now, who can see that I lost my me? Justifies like hoodlums publishing to capitalize on our bread. Into the starry words sit high, they paint to calm you alone. It's silent on the beat forehead. I spot be cropping apathy, I live beside this tree. In their hands now, who can see that I lost but not me?
Management game, twisting rules like a flame. Got the walls that you build and dance on the echoes of guilt. Break the chains, breathe the soul in the heart, take control. Trust in bounds, a bridge to hold. Threads of commerce wove a bow. Strategize a lion goes to watch compliance unfold. In this dance we own the stage. Risk and progress we engage. Music lies to line the path, chasing shadows, leaving no wrap. The cipher whispers in the night, crafting safety, keeping it tight. Threats, compliance unfold. Strategize and life goes. Watch compliance unfold, breaking the mold, then the trust in the harmony we behold. Navigate through shifting sands, every handshake, cautious plans. Build the fortress tall and strong, to where no whispers last too long. Break the chains, free the soul, in the hearts, take control. Trust and balance, a bridge soul. Threads of commerce, woven bold. Strategize, the line goes to watch compliance unfold.
Welcome to the weekly Cybersecurity Briefing. In the interest of making the best of everyone's time, cybersecurity briefings are always kept to 15 minutes. If you have any questions, please ask them in the chat and they will be answered after the briefing. Without any further ado, here is your host, Ron Trotto.
Good morning. It's once again Friday. It is January 24th, 2025. Welcome to the Cybersecurity Briefing. We have a lot to cover today, so we'll get moving on it. Today we are covering the Powerschool Breach. What it is, what happened, uh, kind of action items if you were impacted, and most importantly, for purposes of our cybersecurity briefing, what we can learn as small businesses from this cyber event. So, what happened? Uh, December, I believe it was December 18th or 19th, bad actor gained access to a support portal for PowerSchool uh, by gaining compromised credentials. Um, Got into the back end and basically exported uh, student and teacher data. I know the students, I think there are 62 million records, 18,000 teacher records. These records contained not only all your regular academic stuff, but they also contain the social security number, medical information, potentially, bus stops, that type of thing. So, there is some concern around the exposure of that data to the public, naturally, especially social security numbers, but also the medical information. Um, First part that really strikes me odd is that 2FA was not turned on or available, from what I read, for the support system that has all this carte blanche access to all of the data. Yeah, so if we don't take away anything else from today's lesson, here we are, 2FA smacking us in the face again. And now you understand why we talk about 2FA all the time. It is the one of the lowest hanging pieces of fruit. I know it's a big pain in the tush, but it's one of the lowest hanging pieces of fruit to prevent attacks just like this. So let's take that tidbit of knowledge away. If we learn nothing else today, let's make sure that we've done our due diligence in terms of making sure that our 2FA is turned on. Uh, second and third part to this that are a little bit disturbing. Second part is a support portal that's accessible via the web, has actual access to all the data that's there. That's really that's really the painful reality for everyone involved. If this was limited, and this is something we talk about over and over and over again. It's not if you're going to have an event, it's when you're going to have the event, it's how things are structured, how you prepared for that event that's going to determine the outcome. If this had been structured and really put through with some thought pattern behind it in terms of really truly securing data using really fundamental security principles, um, that overwhelming access really shouldn't have been an issue. There should have been escalation and controls in place to manage that. And I understand, again, it makes it difficult. We do tech support ourselves. We don't like to log in every 14 seconds to a different system and use 2FA because it slows us down as a business owner. We lost a lot of productivity when we had to kind of use all of the security rules around it. I get it. I understand. I feel the pain firsthand. We've made efficiencies elsewhere, but we don't compromise on the security, especially, being who we are and what we do. Um, and we do silo the data. Like everything is in its own kind of little protected space. This wasn't done. I'm sure they're going to be doing it now. Kind of read some things that said that's part of the response plan, but the damage has already been done. We've lost 62 million plus teacher records, out there. Now, they did pay the bad actor to promise not to expose this data to the public. But if anyone remembers, we talked about Lockbit not that long ago. And when their servers got shut down and they got raided, and the authorities looked at the data that they had, turned out that The promise that they made to a couple of companies, I know one specifically, they paid the extortion, and guess what? All the data was still there. So, in this case, the bad actor provided a video that showed him deleting the data, but we don't know. That data was a copy, an archive. Who knows? Maybe the bad guys have backup. So there's just backup he can restore from after deleting it. You don't know. But for now, so far so good. None of the data has made its way to the dark web or the public. So maybe we had an honest criminal. Um, what can we take away from that as a small business? Well, aside from 2FA, isolate your data, uh, monitor the dark web. Clients underneath our cyber program, we do monitor dark web. And yes, it is an afterthought. Yes, it is a after it's occurred thing. But that gives you the ability to actually make a change. You get an alert, something's been exposed. Great. That gives us the ability to inspect to see if any questionable logins were made into said system, change the password, update the 2FA, do all the things that we need to do to make sure that while the credential was out in the dark web, let's make sure it wasn't used by anyone. Again, and that 2FA thing comes in strong here because if you only have a username and a password, you can't really hack most 2FAs. They would have to socially engineer the person who has the thing, that second authentication. It's who you are, what you have, and something you are. So unless they have your fingerprints and that's what's used, doubt it. The other thing is something you have. So they have to somehow either get to what you have that gives those numbers or compromise what you have, i.e. your computer, grab that 2FA token and kind of hack their way to make them you, which is a very targeted attack. It's a lot of effort. It's technically very in depth. Most of the bad actors aren't going to do that. Most of these bad actors are not that technical, believe it or not. They are just looking for money, looking for the opportunities, looking to shake the dollar bills out of the tree. So keep that in mind. Again, that 2FA thing, strong on this one. If you do have a lot of data, make sure that data is siloed and least privilege access is granted to it. If you have any type of support portal, make sure, once again, 2FA is turned on. Now, most small businesses are not this big. They don't have these giant systems all, but we are a small version of what they look like. And if we can learn from their mistakes, we can protect ourselves all that much better. So if you were impacted by this, so biggest concern, of course, is probably the social security numbers. One of the things that we talk about when we give cybersecurity talks to the public is securing your children's information. And one of those things is to make sure that your kid's credit is locked. Seeing that social security numbers are issued pretty much at birth, you have to make sure that that number is locked. Their security is locked. So you have to go to the credit reporting bureaus, and most of them you have to talk to, but you can put a lock on until the kids are of age. I believe it's 15 or 16 for the youngest that they can release their own credit. Very important to make sure that happens. Again, be very aware of weird emails, because here's what can happen. If that data does show up and is given to other bad actors, they can weaponize the data that is inside your child's school records to spearfish, essentially, you into providing potential credentials to other things. They could extort. There's a lot of things that they can do. Just be very aware of your emails that you receive, especially as a parent, because your emails are in there as well. you're the primary contact, so your information is going to be in there. Same thing with your mobile phone, your text messages. If you're getting something strange, just remember there was a data breach and potentially your information is being used. Just keep that in the back of mind at all times. So there is securing and then being aware of the situation going forward. Next, it's not a matter of when you're going to have an incident or if you're going to have an incident. It's a matter of when. And what we see in this example is they planned for failure. Harsh? No, because it's obvious that they didn't plan. And if you don't plan, you are planning for failure. And this shows it 100%. They didn't do some very basic things. They didn't adhere to some basic cybersecurity principles, and it bit them. Keep this in mind when you are thinking about your business and your cybersecurity posture inside of your business, your cybersecurity health. Now, already the lawsuits are starting to roll on this one because there was gross negligence in terms of protecting the data. They didn't do those basic things. That failure to plan was a plan to fail and also a plan to get sued. Now, they did pay the ransom or the extortionware. So I'm not sure what this will bring inside of the courts. They have said that they've mitigated this internally, and they did have a plan for that, apparently. Not much is being said, as they should not share some of this, as it can be used to kind of as data intel for an additional attack. And here's the next part. Talking about, I couldn't have segued that better. Let's talk about what happens when you do have an event. Well, it's kind of like getting on the, if you remember, if you're old enough like me, you remember the publishing clearinghouse. If you ever responded once to one of those things, all of a sudden you just started getting mail because they knew you were a body with a pulse that made a response once. It's the same thing in the cyber world. Once you have an event, once you have an attack, you're going to get hit over and over because you are, well, in their eyes, you're weak prey. You already fell for it once. You can't make all of this stuff happen overnight. We talk about this all the time with our clients that we onboard, with just doing our presentations in front of people. This is not a push a button and everything's good, write a check and everything's good. It is hard. You really have to go through, it's kind of like writing a business plan all over again for how you use technology. And then something most small businesses don't do is manage that business plan as things change. And guess what? In cyber, things change every day. So it's a very rapid living thing that we have to keep in mind and keep on top of. Most companies don't do that. So, but just having that kind of out of the gate makes all the difference in the world when an event happens, and it'll thwart those additional attempts to get in because now they're a target. So it'll be curious to see kind of how well they did protect their systems and how many additional attacks that they will have to fight off in the coming months. So I hope that this has shed some light. Look forward to not discussing real world examples like this because it not only impacts the adults, but it impacts the children. And that's just low, especially if you're going to weaponize medical information and social security numbers and people's lives. It really shows the moral compass of the bad actors here. With that being said, we are right at our 15-minute mark. I appreciate you for showing up and listening. and looking forward to making this a safer small business community for all of us. We'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks.